Hello and welcome to a discussion video about the real new Pokemon games for Switch, introduced yesterday when this goes up, I guess. Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield, and I am joined by AJ, TidalTyrant, and sldino.
Hello.
Hello.
Alright, so, the trailer. We're not watching it here, because copyright is a thing, and you can find it on the Pokemon YouTube channel. Also, you can find it on swordshield.pokemon.com. I scroll up here. You can watch the trailer here. They're showing a couple little clips there, so I'm not going to stay there. We're going to look at the starters here in a minute. But first, what I'd like to get is everybody's thoughts. To capture your initial reaction, because, I kind of watched this live as it was happening, but I was at the gym, so I just kind of turned on my phone, and I caught, 2 minutes late, so, and it showed up in the middle of the trailer, and so then I had to go back and watch it later when I could, get the full impact. So, just going down the line, I guess start with AJ. What was your initial reaction watching the trailer for the first time?
Oh man. Well, I was expecting I was hoping for Gen 8, but I was thinking, we might get another remake.
Yeah.
And the way they were setting it up, I'm like, oh no, don't do this. In the initial the whole speech thing. And then they started showing the first scenes of looking down the road and stuff. I'm like, yes, yes. And I was very tired, but that woke me up. I was like, yes.
The hype.
I was hyped. Just the look of the region looks really great.
Mm-hmm.
The models, look really, really good this time around. The trainers, I don't know how I feel about them, but and then the new boys, we'll get into those later, but I was very hyped about that. I wasn't sure if we were going to see them, if they were going to showcase them yet or not.
Yeah, they threw that in at the end.
The fact that they did was, I really enjoyed. Thought it was pretty hype.
Alright, so, Tyrant, what did you think?
Well, I can certainly empathize with a lot of what AJ said earlier, but just to add on to that, essentially, I was kind of trying to decide on where it was, or I was almost guaranteed that this was going to be 8th gen, but I was trying to figure out where this was actually taking place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And my initial thoughts of this were, well, first of all, the bunny's going to set the grass on fire. And generally, I was just freaking excited. I just loved a lot of the atmosphere, and actually, weirdly enough, a lot of it kind of reminds me of Kalos, just in a more primitive time, if that makes any sense.
It has that same European feel to it. That's what I noticed right away.
Yeah, they showcase that kind of steampunk-esque or older style town more than any other town.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that may be the it's the main city in X and Y. One with the tower, the electric generator.
Yeah, Lumio. So almost every region has the one city that's bigger than all the other cities. It's kind of and it can sometimes be the hub city.
Yeah, so I think that'll be the Lumio city of the Galar. Galar, thank you. Galar version of Galar region. There we go.
All right, Dino, what were your initial thoughts and reaction?
Very exciting, of course, but I really I wasn't sure if this trailer was going to be one where there was going to be a lot of information or very little we've had before, but AJ was kind of talking about, but I'm excited they showed a lot because the game's coming out so soon.
Yeah.
I think like what AJ was saying, I think the models look really crisp, I guess is the way I describe it.
Mm-hmm.
And, the background design looks really good. There's a lot of detail. I like the variety in the different locations. There's the very industrialized town. There's a snowy mountain. There's plains, lakeside. Looks very nice.
There's a mine.
There's
a
mine. Village area too.
Village, yeah. There's a lot of diversity. I think it's really good, and the the starters. You know, that's a really nice intro to throw in right at the end.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll talk more about those later. But yeah, overall, thought it was a really good trailer.
Yeah, and just to add, like, again, the first time I saw the trailer, it was kind of midway through, and I couldn't really absorb what was going on. I just saw, like, I came in on a shot of, like, a Pokemon battle, and I think I saw, like, Minccino and Pikachu, and then I saw Zweilous, so I'm like, is this a new game? I don't see new Pokemon, but this looks different. And then I saw the trainers, and then when I went back and watched the trailer, like, more relaxed in a quiet place where I could watch it all the way through, I was the first thing that struck me was just the environments. I've been seeing a little bit of criticism on how the game looks like it's just on an updated Sun and Moon engine, and I mean, the engine definitely is similar, but they just overhauled the overworld and the environment so much that that was the first thing that stuck out to me. That was really cool. And I
mean, the Sun and Moon engine was pretty great to begin with, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it would make sense why they would try and go for the similar engine tone.
Yeah, I mean, an updated version of that I think is great. And of course the region, actually I have the screenshot of the region for the video there. But there were rumors circulating around. I saw, like, around January, like, oh hey, you know, the new region is going to be based off the UK, and I'm like, really? Not that that would be a bad thing, but, like, I hadn't seen anything to let me think that. And then the night before this came out, there was a Twitter release, like the official Pokemon Twitter account had announced the Pokemon Direct, and the UK one announced the Direct with the little winky emoji.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
And it turns out to be the case here. There's
they were in on it.
One of the things we'll get to, I don't know if it was one of the screenshots I copied. I don't think it is, unless there was one on Cerebi of, like, the soccer stadium. Here, I'm pulling it up now. If it'll.
Yeah, they have, like, a little soccer room.
And someone pointed out the number on the jersey is 227, which corresponds to 227, the date of the release. So that was pretty good detail there.
I like that they have Big Ben in the map.
Oh yeah, let me pull.
I sent this to Flat. I'm like, bruh, I'm coming to the UK.
Yep.
Flat's pretty excited about it.
All right, so now after going into, like, the general reactions, so now for each of you, what your overall thoughts, like, anything you haven't mentioned already, something, maybe what are you most excited about based on the information in the trailer, and then maybe something that you saw that you didn't like, or maybe that you're concerned about, or, you know, something like that. AJ, what did you think?
I think the game is going to be great. It'll be fun, and I had to get more Pokemon. I'm also I think I'm most excited for just new Pokemon and new designs.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also kind of excited to have gyms back. I mean, Alola was a nice little break with the trial thingy, and it was cool to see, like, a new culture of Pokemon gyms, quote unquote. But I don't know. I just think the gyms have a nice. They're just nicer to have in the games for me personally, just because just gyms in general are pretty great, and it's a nice challenge along the journey, which Alola didn't really feel to have to me.
I felt that the totem Pokemon could be more challenging, like if you were doing a Nuzlocke, but then if you weren't, then it wasn't as challenging in some cases. They did have some other cases where, because I tried to play fairly blind-ish for the most part through the games, and so there were a couple times I just didn't have the right Pokemon with me and was totally destroyed.
Right.
But anything that concerns you, or that you didn't necessarily like, or you
terms of
Okay, so this could be fun. I noticed this region seems to hate the x-axis because it's all vertical.
Oh yeah, I remember you brought that up, where it's a very skinny. I mean, kind of based off of Great Britain, although Great Britain goes a little bit wider at the bottom. Then this looks almost like a straight up and down, like a dog bone almost.
I guess that would be don't really have any large gripes aside from, I guess, just the. Well, not even that. I mean, it's cool to not be like going around all over the place. This just seems like a nice another little island, you know? Like more map variety.
Yeah, I noticed. I noticed that there's potentially. I mean, there's these little look like island things off to the side, but they don't look like places you go. And there's just some small bodies of water. So I wonder how much like surfing is going to be a thing. I can see up over where there's either like the Pokemon League or some big city with like the Ferris wheel and stuff. There, it's like separated by, I guess it's the English Channel or something. It's separated by
like
some water.
There is a lot of mountains behind there, and I'm curious if that's going to be an area we are going to get to explore. Maybe like supposed to.
Looking at the map, it seemed like it was actually just a peninsula, just facing north.
Oh yeah, it is actually connected a little bit there.
Alright.
Yeah, it's.
Oh,
in terms of something I didn't really like with the game. I don't know how I feel about the names of the games yet. They just don't really seem very Pokemon to me. Like it just feels like alienated names, but it's not really that. It's more of a nitpick than a.
Yeah, I mean, it does sound a little weird to say Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield, but I'd be interested to see how the legendaries play a role, which we didn't get any information on that other than there might be a clue into like the little wolf heads on the logos.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Mega Aegislash confirmed. Next!
Right, it'll be Aegislash. But, so Tyrant, what are you most excited about based on the information in the trailer?
Okay, so other than like seeing other Pokemon, one thing I want to see is the gym. It sounds strange, but I think there's going to be something different with these. If you notice, they all have a similar setup, but they're all like humongous compared to like the rest of the buildings. I don't think we're going to see traditional gym, possibly. I think what we might see is maybe some sort of weird totem like trial thing, but maybe controlled by a gym leader and a totem.
So now was I didn't notice. Did you notice in the trailer? Did they make the connection that the soccer stadium was the gym, or was that not made clear whether it was or not?
I don't think that was made clear.
Because I was wondering if that could be like a side thing, like contests or one of those other things, or if, because from the outside, like this screenshot I'm showing here, it was that building that had like the leaf symbol on it, and it does look like a gym. It's not quite the traditional gym logo that we've seen in like Gens 5 and 6, but it looks like it could be a gym, and it also looks kind of like a stadium. So
Serby has like an HD map that you can do, by the way. Want to do that? Get a better look.
Let's see if I can. Let's see.
There's a ton of bridges and like train tracks.
Yeah. There's like the town in the very top looks like it might have like a Ferris wheel, and that kind of looks like the Sea Needle actually.
Yeah.
It looks like there's a port town to address your lack of water issues, Banana. Like on the next to
there's like a little lighthouse.
Oh yeah, there's a lighthouse and some ships. They're probably, I can see there being like fishing. Maybe you can take the boat somewhere too. Actually, well, first I want to. That made me want to bring up something. But first, I want to get Dino's thoughts. Like, what are you most excited for, and what was something that you're not sure if you like or you might be worried about?
I guess the thing I'm most excited about is at the very end they talk about how they something along the lines of they want to try some creative things, but like keep like the spirit of Pokemon and like what makes it like unique, which I think is a great idea. Like I feel like mixing it up a little bit is nice, but I don't want it to be like completely different.
Right.
But you know, I feel like that brings a lot of hope. The region looks really interesting. Like Tidal said, very like long and vertically, but there's like 3 major cities it looks like, which is interesting. I don't know if we've had that many like big cities before. There's a lot of train tracks and like tunnels and stuff, which looks cool. I don't know, it's kind of hard to tell how big the region is off of this. Like,
yeah, it almost looks like there could be more below.
Yeah, like I don't know.
but maybe not. But or in the third game, maybe you get to go down there.
But generally, I think it looks pretty nice.
Yeah, it is a nice variety of terrains. I wonder if it'll feel, because I mean they have to lay it all out on a map, so it kind of makes it all look close together. So I wonder if they'll make use of like the mountains and stuff to give the region a big feel. Because that was one thing with Alola. Well, I feel like the first time I played through Sun and Moon, I didn't feel like the region got small. Like I didn't think the region felt small because I was exploring it for the first time. Once I kind of did, each island seemed kind of it had that contained feeling, which I mean it kind of had to because it was 4 islands, but it was a little bit more of a even with the other Pokemon games, as you explore the world you get to know it better when you play through the game multiple times, and so it doesn't feel as big as when you first started. But I think having the islands having the islands made it seem more, because I guess also because you have like instant transportation between the islands, where I mean you could fly in the other regions as well, but if you wanted to, you could actually explore and walk or surf or whatever.
Yeah, Alola definitely feels small.
So that brings me, though, mentioning Alola, that brings me to something, because so we already have one example of a change that Alola made to the Pokemon formula by having the Island Challenge instead of the gyms. And I mean, at least for me, I kind of figured that would be an Alola only thing, because they make it out to be this cultural thing, this thing that's unique to Alola. And sure enough, it looks like we have gyms back, so we're back to the old formula in that way. So now my question is, do you think, because obviously in Gen 7 we didn't have HMs and we had Ride Pokemon, and then in Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, they kind of did a version of that where your starter would just learn these field moves that took the place of the HMs. How do you think they're going to handle that in this game? Because I can't imagine that they would bring back HMs, because I think that seems to have been a positive, like everybody was positive about HMs not being a thing anymore. They're kind of an outdated RPG mechanic, I think, but well, how are they going to implement it? Because the Ride Pokemon specifically seem to be an Alola only thing, and you're probably not going to have, I mean, you're not going to have your perpetual starter following you like in the Let's Go games. So I don't know, what are your thoughts on how they might get around that? Or do they just eliminate any need for field moves entirely? I don't know if they'd go that far, but that could be a possibility.
Maybe they'll just do items.
Maybe items.
Maybe like an axe for like small trees. Maybe like a surfboard, like they are originally going to implement in the original games for like water and that kind of stuff. Maybe a boat, possibly. But
well, think maybe. Well, not maybe. I think if they were to bring HM back, I think it would be fine if they made it to where you can replace the move without needing to move the leader.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what they'd have to do.
Are useful. They're a good flying move.
I mean, what they'd have to do if they did that is just make sure that they had no way where you could soft lock yourself in the game by accidentally forgetting a move or something. But I guess that now that, I mean, since Gen 5, where TMs have been infinite, you could have them maybe be TMs and like field TMs that you just can't get rid of, so that you always have it and you could teach the Pokemon. I don't... They probably won't do this either, but because someone made the point that these games are being developed alongside the Let's Go games for a while by a separate team. So probably any new features in Let's Go would not make an appearance in this game. So like I was thinking how in Let's Go you have you always have access to your box, which I think that was mainly just to make it similar to Pokemon Go. But I'm thinking that would be one way that you could soft lock yourself, deposit the Pokemon, and then release it or something. But barring that, I guess having them be field TMs would probably be the best way to handle it, if they still wanted to make it moves that your Pokemon use.
Yeah. I think my biggest prediction, like the thing I would think most, is they're just getting rid of like trees to cut and rock to smash, but they're gonna maybe make those TMs that Pokemon can learn if you want to be in your moveset.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, wait, anybody have a last prediction on that before we move on? Because we got to get to the good stuff.
Nope.
All right. So let's get into the talk about the starters. Of course, at the end of the direct, we saw the 3 starter Pokemon, and as always, we have Grass, Fire, and Water. We have Grookey, they call it a chimp Pokemon. To me, he kind of looks like a lemur or a marmoset, maybe, but I guess we'd probably see what he's more specifically based on, maybe as he evolves. To me, he looks lemurish.
Says he's a chimp.
Yeah, but chimps don't have tails, so
Yeah,
I think they're oversimplifying it. But
I
then
mean, Cyndaquil is the fire mouse Pokemon.
yeah, right. I know Sandshrew is the mouse Pokemon.
They seem to take some design of liberty.
Right, they do, like, they take a general, chimp. Well, I mean, that's vaguely monkey / ape related, so close enough.
I feel like they just put the tail on there just to make it look better.
Well, and that's like with Sobble, how it's a water lizard Pokemon, but lizard could mean a lot of things, so.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, we have Scorbunny, the rabbit.
Yes.
It's rabbit season.
Alright, so going down the line, have you picked a favorite yet? And your thoughts for their final typing or their evolution? Any speculation on that? AJ, what do you think?
The moment I saw Scorbunny on the screen, I fell in love with that Pokemon. Everyone else is like Grookey, Sobble. That's fine. That seems like the fan favorite now. Scorbunny is my child. Everyone thinks Scorbunny is Scorbunny is my child, fam. I love its design. It is so it's just good. I just love it. I've expressed this 100 times. Everyone I do love the others, but Scorbunny is just more for me. Everyone's speculating that, just based off its description here, a rabbit that is always running about bursting with energy, and it's got the little yellow kind of ears and the nose and the feet. Everyone's saying fire electric, which would be dope.
That would make it.
I
just realized that would make it the Energizer Bunny.
That's what I said. That was my joke.
I didn't notice. I didn't see that before. I wasn't in the chat all day, but
I made the joke of like, because we were talking about names for the bunny, and I'm like, yo, we could name it the Energizer Bunny for the lecture time.
Do you have what are your thoughts on what typings the other two might end up with?
Sobble, I think maybe water. We've been speculating maybe water ghost because of its whole like disappearing kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also an argument that could be made because it's also a chameleon, so like it kind of chameleon-like it could be because it's lizard, so it doesn't necessarily have to be a ghost to disappear. But I still think a water ghost would be cool. Grookey, I think it's going to be Grass Dark just because it's a mischievous chimp.
Could be.
And it was like in the trailer banging on the rock to scare Sobble away.
Uh-huh.
It was being a little punk.
Yeah.
But I think Grass Dark, Fire Electric, Water Ghost.
Alright, well, we'll see. So Tyrant, what's your choice of starter, at least as of this moment, before we've seen a lot of information?
Definitely Squirtle, just because, well, I mean, one, I'm mostly water type fan, and the fact that it's just so cute. But so talking about the starters in general, they're not my favorite lineup, but I think there's going to be a lot to them.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I noticed is they all seem to have a theme of like some sort of sports. Now with Scorch Bunny, it was obvious. It's got patches all over its face. It's got the big feet. It's got the cocky attitude. It's a soccer player, or if you're Vlad, football player.
Mm-hmm.
And that I think would be the easiest one. thinking about it while I was trying to grab my text today, Grookey, I think, was the second easiest one to decipher because like it had this stick in its ear, and I'm like, or its hair, and I'm like, what could that be used for? Then I realized it almost looks like a batter, like trying to accept the plate. So I think this Pokemon might have something to do with baseball. Because like, yeah, it's got the bat and everything, and
it was Captain the Rock, kind of like here, batter.
Could be
make
baseball, or
connection.
if we keep with the British theme, it
Rugby.
could be like cricket.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was thinking rugby, like that kind of, but you know, something along that line.
But yeah, Squibble was the most difficult. I mean, I love him, but he was a pain in the neck. But then I kind of got to thinking, what kind of sports could use stealth? And I'm like, maybe paintball? Or something along those lines?
I mean, it does say he shoots out attacks. I can see.
Yeah,
right.
it could be.
It's more like a sniper or like a hunter. So like, he wants to hide in the shadows and just get his target like when they're not looking, I would assume.
I was thinking like
possibly like cricket / baseball. Then soccer, then paintball. I'm not sure exactly if that's right, but I think we're going to see a very huge sports theme in general in this game, and not just the starters either.
It seemed like they were trying to convey that with the whole stadium and like the outfit your trainer gets.
And even at the end of the trailer, if you notice, it has like the sound of an audience cheering in an arena.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
So there probably will play a big role. So do you have any other speculation for what the final types might be for these guys?
Final types, if I had to take a crack at it, I would say, and I hate to say this, AJ, please don't kill me. Scorch Bunny, I think, may see the return of firefighting, but I am...
No!
It depends on if that's a bandage on his nose.
Don't do this to me, Game Freak, please.
I hope it is electric. I hope it is electric. But I think there is a possibility of it.
There is a possibility.
I can't deny there may be just this general design, but Game Freak, come on.
As for Squibble, though, he's very up in the air. I think he's the wild card, the jack of all trades for most of these Pokemon. He's just extremely strange, and I think Water Poison might be there. He's Salamander-esque, but he's more lizard. Me was actually saying that like his Japanese name might bring reference to the Mosasaur, which is you guys seen Jurassic World, you know what the Mosasaur is. It's like this big marine crocodile, essentially.
Yeah.
So my hope is Water Rock, but I think we may see something like Water Poison, Water Dark, maybe. He's I can't really tell. He might end up being just pure water if I had to guess.
Yeah, well, because Vaporeon can disappear into the water as pure water.
Oh yeah.
Alright, that's true.
Acid armor.
A Grookey, I would say, might end up being water, grass dark or grass fighting. And for any of them to get the fighting, I would hope it'd be the grass. So, yeah, Grookey's a little more straightforward, and Squibble's fun doing his thing.
Alright, sldino, what are your thoughts?
Well, you know, I just want to put out there is a chance of a firefighting, but I really don't want like 50% of our fire type starters to be firefighting. So
it would be 50%.
Can I mention that Dino 100% predicted this rabbit?
Oh yeah, 100. Like yesterday, we were joking around. I was like, "Oh yeah, I don't believe in that fire starter Zodiac thing." But I was like, if it was gonna happen, I think I'd go for a fire rabbit. I think that'd be pretty cool.
And then look what we
did. And you did.
We were also talking about if the next starter was fire, like maybe a fire electric.
Oh
and
yeah.
Lo and behold, we got maybe a fire electric.
It's the closest we've come so far with the description.
But yeah, anyways, I'm really hoping not firefighting. Someone was, I think Mimi was probably mentioning it, that Sobble might be like a pre-evolution to something like the Loch Ness Monster kind of based. I feel like this would be the region to do it. And like, I think the whole camouflage thing would probably play into that whole idea of like, oh, no one can find the Loch Ness Monster. It'd be a cool idea.
Yeah.
And, Grookey.
Wasn't that a thing in
Yeah.
the? Wasn't that a thing in the UK or no? That was Scotland.
Yeah, Loch Ness
Yeah,
is Scotland. I mean, Scotland. I thought I knew this for sure. Now I'm afraid of messing up. Is part of the UK, if I'm not mistaken. England, Wales, Northern Ireland, and Scotland are the UK. It's not part of Great Britain because it's not part of the island, but it's part of the UK.
Yes. Yeah, Scotland, the UK's northern.
Oh, no, it is part of. It is part of the island. Is it part of the island?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
But
think
it was part of the
Ireland.
UK.
Yeah, because it's isn't it Ireland, Scotland, and Northern Ireland? Let me
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I
just.
looked it up and it said.
I
Ireland,
believe I
Scotland.
knew this because I learned it in school, but I'm afraid of misremembering, so I'm just gonna.
Okay, where's Flad? We need him.
Okay, no. So wait, yeah, Scotland's the northern part of the British island. So yeah, it is
Yeah.
it is Great Britain, but it is also part of the UK. But then Northern Ireland, which is surprise, the northern part of Ireland, is also part of the UK, and then Ireland's its own separate thing.
Yeah, so I can definitely see a Loch Ness monster vibe.
Yeah, so I think that could be really cool. So if that was a chance, I'd probably go Water Dragon.
That would be cool.
We only have
Yeah.
2 of those, right?
Yeah.
Kingdra, Palkia. And that's
I
it.
think it's just the Kingdra and Palkia, right?
I think Dragon would be the most risky for the type triangle though. But I can see where
Oh,
you're coming from.
definitely.
Unless like one of them ends up having a fairy typing.
That's true.
No,
Yeah.
no.
If any of them have fairy, I want it to be Score Bunny. I want a fairy fire. Game Freak?
It's
That would be
Fairy
cool.
fire.
That would be
a
cool
good
too.
typing.
Reverse triangle, possibly.
But yeah, I was thinking if Soba becomes a Loch Ness monster, maybe all of them would kind of be like these legend kind of sort of things. So Score Bunny could be like Jackalope, and Grookey could be like a Yeti or Bigfoot kind of thing. I feel like that could be pretty cool.
Interesting.
What do you think on Grookey's typing?
You know, I'm gonna say, I feel like it's gonna have kind of boring typing of either like base grass, grass rock, grass ground, or maybe
Yeah.
you kind of convinced me on grass dark. Not gonna lie about the whole mischievous thing.
Yeah.
I kind of see that.
Now, when you said grass rock, I think that was mentioned. Okay, so this, I gotta zoom out.
The most...
I shared this picture I took, and I'm gonna make it smaller if I can, just so the whole thing can fit on the screen. Okay, so I took a picture of this comment from YouTube on one of like a Game Explain video or something, and it mentioned this person's theory was that they just told us the starter's evolution typings from how Score Bunny is running on the gear with the sound of metal on contact tells us it will be fire steel. Sobble, just how it disappears into the water, is a bit tougher, but it comes down to either water poison or more likely water ghost. Lastly, Grookey, when it appears in the trailer, is beating a stick on a rock. Grass rock type confirmed. Now, this person mentions the fact that Game Freak has dropped hints in subtle ways like this before. I don't know. Personally, I don't know if I buy into these typings, but it's an interesting theory that they would give the hints, like give hints to the typings in that way.
Yeah. So while watching the trailer, because I was watching it live at like 6 in the morning, I was while looking at the chat occasionally, I was seeing a lot of predictions. Like they were like Grookey, Grass Psychic. I don't know why, but everyone was also thinking like Score Bunny, Fire Steel because it was running on the gear thing. Everyone's like Sobble, like water. Some people thought Sobble might be like Water Bug. I don't know why. Score Bunny, I guess I could see why everyone's like Fire Steel. I just don't see much of its design saying like Steel type to me. Like,
yeah, I mean it's the base forms. I mean, once we have the final evolutions and typings, it'll probably bring more context into the basic form design. But now in this basic form, they're all pure typings, so they don't really give much hint as to what they're going to turn into. Just by looking.
like nowadays, there's really no predicting because Rowlet went from grass flying to a grass ghost archer owl, which is still my favorite Sun and Moon, by the way. And then Litten turned into this giant upper mass tiger thing.
And you know when
like,
people
what?
discovered Incineroar was a wrestler, how afraid everybody was.
Yeah, I was like, Game Freak basically made a firefighting in disguise. They can't hide it from me. I see you. I see you. I see you. I guarantee he was originally going to be firefighting, and then they were like, and everyone was like, please don't be another firefighter. And everyone was like, quickly change it.
Or they were just like, let's troll everybody.
Yeah.
We're gonna make them think this thing's firefighting, but then it's really not.
Yeah. I mean, that would have been funny. But they went, but I think they'll do that for the type triangle. This time around, if it was fire, like, let's say if it was fire, electric, grass, dark, water, ghost, I'm not seeing really the triangle with Scorbunny, like he's the odd man out.
Yeah, Scorbunny would be the most OP between all three of them.
Unless they did like fire, electric, grass, ground, and water. I don't know, because water is already strong against
ice.
Water ice. But water's already strong against ground, so then.
Yeah, but it's neutral against grass.
Yeah.
Water or grass ground. I mean.
Yeah, I don't know.
But then ice just destroys it.
Yeah, and then like that would make sense, I guess.
Well,
but I don't know. I feel like they're going with because they've always had the triangle thing. Well, not always.
Yeah, I mean, the reverse triangle wasn't perfect. Like, they had a semi-reverse triangle with Kalos where they had fighting, dark, and psychic.
Dark. Psychic, fire, grass fighting.
It was an imperfect one because obviously dark is immune to psychic, so it wasn't a perfect triangle.
Yeah.
But it was kind of
I feel like
reverse triangle or a double triangle actually.
I feel like I don't know. If we're going fire, electric, grass, dark. I don't know. I'm not sure what symbol would be, but like if we are gonna go with those two like that, like maybe they're going with the direction where, like in the past, the starters have usually always been weak to each other. Maybe they're going with the direction where the starters can actually have a chance to fight their counterparts back.
I guess we'll see.
Squabble just doesn't seem to anything in here, does it?
Yeah. Without knowing more about what it is, maybe what it's based on, it would be hard to say.
Yeah.
And it just says water lizard, so start looking up information about every lizard that you know.
Maybe the Galapagos, like iguana, like those, yeah. Like me and I were talking about this. Like there's some iguanas that actually are aquatic for the most part, and that's what she and I were kind of thinking of. And I don't know how the heck that would fit into like paintball or like camouflage, but what else do we have at this point?
I mean,
we have Kecleon.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if we have a lizard expert on hand, but a lot of lizards can change, their color at least a little bit, depending on their surroundings. So they do all have some form of camouflage, some degree of camouflage.
By evolutionary means, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, I don't...
So, unless anybody has any other prediction to add about this, we can get on. Do you?
Well, it's not really a prediction. It's more of a hope that maybe these guys will maybe be a little more competitively than Alola. Because I don't remember who it was, but I saw someone mention like Alola had like a lot of very slow Pokemon.
Yeah, Alola, like everybody was slow except for Tapu Koko and Salazzle, pretty much.
And Pheromosa.
Lycanroc too.
Oh, Pheromosa, yeah.
Yeah, I mean there were some fast ones in there, but we also got a lot of slow ones.
Most of them were slow or like below average.
Yeah,
all the starters were base 60, I think, speed.
My just one hope for the starters here, and I guess any Pokemon the rest of the game in general, is like some good Pokemon to like mix up the competitive scene a bit. Because I mean, it's not all about competitive, obviously, but like at the end of the day, you know, when you finish a game, you know, there's a lot of people who do want to play competitively and see how fun they'll be to use.
Yeah. Well, you know, we haven't even found out if they're gonna, you know, have a port of Bank for Switch or anything like that, right? We haven't found out if we're gonna be able to transfer Pokemon over, or if the.
I feel like they'll have to probably, because if there's version exclusive Pokemon, like how are you gonna trade? Like,
yeah,
I'm sure they'll figure it out.
Yeah, I mean when Bank came out, it was kind of under the guise of we're gonna do this forever, just about, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But all right, so we've gone a little bit long, so let's just kind of wrap things up. We'll go through each of you guys. Just give any final thoughts you want to add. Any predictions you want to make, like we saw sldino might have made a spot-on prediction there, but about the starters, or about the fire starter at least. So any other predictions you want to say, any other speculation for just the game in general? AJ?
I think, well, because we didn't talk much about the logo.
Wait,
and how it's like a sword, a shield, and there's like a wolf head at the top. Not to mention, there's this weird spot on the map where it's like, it was in the trailer too, where there's like a creature with like a weird little swirly cloud and some lightning like carved into a hill or something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like those
really
rock art things.
A lot of people are saying like new cosmic typing or something like that. I don't know about that one. But I just feel like we're gonna, because we're talking about it like, well, usually the game titles have like, you know, they hint at the different legends. Here we have like a sword of shield with the same wolf head. So I think like, we were talking about this the other day, and I'm starting to think like maybe we're getting like a legendary with like 2 forms, kind of like Aegislash works.
Yeah.
Or
an
like
Aegislash Lycanroc fusion.
That's my other thought was forms. Like my other thought was like maybe we could see a return of the legendary fusion kind of thing from Ultra Sun Moon. Where it's like there's the one main like wolf legendary, then there's like a sword and shield legendary, and they can like fuse with it. So that's as far as legends go. That's about all I'm really thinking. So I'm not sure, like, because we already have a sword and shield Pokemon, Aegislash.
Right, it's literally a sword and shield Pokemon.
Yeah.
And...
So like, I don't know. I just feel like maybe it'll play a big role in the long run. If not, I'll be very disappointed again for you.
I mean,
I'll return my...
there almost always is some connection, even if it's just a loose tie-in to the legendary, but there's almost always some connection to the name of the game and the legendary. Yeah. I mean, at least starting from Gold and Silver onward, the name was either reflected the color of the Pokemon or the color associated with the Pokemon, or later on, you know, the Sun Pokemon, the Moon Pokemon. So, I mean, whether they are a literal sword or shield, because remember the legendaries in Unova, where you had Terrakion, Cobalion, and Virizion, they were the Swords of Justice. So maybe it's a metaphorical sword Pokemon, and you have like an offensive wolf, and then the shield Pokemon's a defensive wolf or something like that.
Yeah. Also, I'd just like to point us out, and I didn't notice until just now while looking up the map. Right, the city, the gray city, just below the icy part, at the top of the tower, isn't that the Queen's Crown?
That does kind of look reminiscent of a crown.
It just looked very similar to like, kind of like, you know, in a game of chess, the Queen's Crown.
That's true. It does look kind of like a chess piece. Could be.
Anyways,
yeah.
That's all my predictions, really.
All right, Tyrant. What do you got?
Now, I'm a huge fan of Fate Grand Order, and I deal with a lot of knights on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing I'm kind of, it's more like what I hope to see is some Arthurian like references here and there. Like I want to see Pokemon based on like the Knights of the Round Table, like Lancelot, maybe like some sort of dark water type Pokemon, legendary maybe even. Like Sir Gawain, a Pokemon that like gets huge defense in the sun or something like that. Like
I would not be
maybe even,
surprised
like,
if I would not be surprised if they took some influence.
oh my god, I would just lose my mind off of that. But yeah, past that I don't have too much to go off of other than anything else. I mean, if we get like a psychic fairy wizard Merlin Pokemon, that'd be kind of interesting. But yeah, past that, the only other thing I want to point out is on the top left, like kind of underneath the king or the queen's crown, we have this like small little outgrove with like mushrooms in it. I wonder if that might not be like a fairy type stadium, because that just kind of screams fairy to me for some reason. But
well, the building does look
yeah.
like that gym. Actually, if we go down, that building that had the leaf on
There's
it. So
4 of those same buildings.
yeah, there's like one. Yeah, there's the green one.
Where's the
probably
building with the
one.
leaf?
There's a blue one. So if you look at the area where it has Big Ben, and you're a little bit north of that, I think that's the one we saw in the trailer that had the leaf on it.
The second. Oh yeah. I think that's a gym.
There's like one right below the grassy one in the forest, and then there's
one next to the lighthouse. There's one in that rock formation. There's one with the mushrooms, and that could be a fairy or poison type theme, I think. Are there only 4? Or
I see 4, but I mean,
I'm counting 1, 2, 3, or yeah, I'm counting 4. Yeah, just 4 of them looks like.
I mean, there might be like 2 in like the big cities, and like there might be another big building that's 1 or 2 or something.
Or what if they change it up somehow to where they're gyms,
only
but
4?
you're not getting. But what if they? So like what they did with the Island Challenge, where you had 7 or in Ultra Sun and Moon 8 trials, and then the 4 Kahunas on the 4 islands. I know they kind of ended up being the Elite 4 at the end, but what if you have some other kind of challenge that you do 7 or 8 of, and then like every 2 challenges or something you have one of these gyms, or if the gyms just are a more, or if the gyms just have a more involved thing going on than they did in previous games.
I see 5 gyms.
Where do you,
There's one in the there's one over here in the mushroom place.
Right.
There's one in the rock. There's one in the farmland. There's one over here by the port, and there's one actually right here next to the other rocky one. You see that in the Gray City on the left there. There's like that little circle symbol, which is also reminiscent of these other ones. I think that's a gym. Also, there's like a little battle arena.
Oh, like the tower thing? That?
Yeah, the little tower on the left.
Oh yeah.
If you zoom in, there's the circle in front of it right there. You can. It's hard to notice, but I noticed. And I think because all the gyms have those. Look like they have the badges imprinted. I think that's a gym as well.
Also, there's like a dragon or Charizard head on the front of that gate.
Sort of looks like a Mega.
Something I just noticed. At that leaf or that grass gym, you can actually see the area where that big engraving of that engraving is of that legendary Pokemon. So at least we have confirmation on where something is.
Yeah.
All right, so where were we on predictions? We were on Tyrant. You finished yours.
Yep.
And then all right, so Dino, what have you got?
Yeah, I'll just make it real fast. But I'm thinking the Sword and Shield thing might be less literal and just be like more of like the Pokemon, like the Legends, like characteristics, like defensive and offensive. Kind of looks like a coat of arms, like really simplified. Like there's the sword aspect, the shield, and then like the animal aspect. Thinking that, so maybe something like that. And I guess like the only other thing I'm really interested is like that chalk like hill art thing.
Yeah.
Like that looks really interesting. It's like very humanoid, but it has like a tail with spikes, like a spiky head and back. It's like breathing out like thunder or fire or something.
Yeah. On the up close screenshot, I don't have it on me, but it looked like you could see little aliens or people
or something.
Yeah.
By the way, I found another shirt.
Oh really?
Yeah, I don't. It might just be like a light fixture, but it looked kind of like the way the gyms are set up. But the big old sea needle place, that would be a very large gym though if it was. You know, the middle building
Yeah.
with the white circle.
There's the
I
thing
think
that
I
looks
was
like a
going for.
rose too, and I kind of thought
Mhm.
it looks maybe more like a theater, but who knows? It could be a stylized gym or something. I
I
don't
could
know.
be wrong. It could just be a random building, but I thought it looked kind of like a gym. Like,
Okay, so to close things out, my one thing that I'll speculate on. I mean, I have a lot of ideas, I guess, of what could happen, but one thing I noticed in the trailer was I think it was Masuda made a comment about trying to go and try new things while still retaining what makes Pokemon special, something to that effect. And it could have just been a throwaway line, but I'm wondering if that means that, if that's supposed to be an indication that we will see, you know, for instance, like I mentioned maybe with the gyms, we're returning to gyms, but we're going to change it up a little bit. Or, you know, with HMs or whatever field moves, like we're going to change things up a little bit there. Or so I'm going to guess, although it's not a very good prediction because I don't really have anything specific to predict about, but I do predict that we'll see some gameplay mechanic either changed or tweaked in some way, maybe that's never been done before. So that's my guess. Alright, so with that, we made it in under an hour, so that's good. So that's a discussion on the first look at Generation 8 of Pokemon, and depending on how often they're going to release information and how much information they're going to release in the coming months, we may or may not do one of these for each time, or maybe just for the big ones, and depending on everybody's schedules and everything. But it was fun kind of just talking, just to share reactions and share ideas for what we could see. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment down below with your own thoughts, your own predictions, and thank you guys, all three of you, for joining.
yeah.
And yeah, we'll see you next time for more of this. Maybe if they keep, if it's like Sun and Moon, they're gonna like release something every 2 weeks. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm fully prepared because they launched the website, man. Same as Sun and Moon. I am prepared for every detail of this game to be just thrown in my face.
all right. Well, with that, guys, I'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Don't let them take my bike.
Bye.